CEMAC was created on the 16th of March 1994 in Jamena. It was in charge. 27 years after its creation, can we say the intentions or the objectives of its creation have been met, notably that of sub-regional integration within the CEMAC zone with the free circulation of goods and persons between member states? Many are those Cameroonians who are waiting for a cabinet shake-up. If President Paul Biya reshuffles and Anglophones are brought into key positions, will this actually appease the minds of the separatists, or again, you call them Amber Boys, if you want? And then finally, we shall be talking the AFCON draws with Cameroon in Pool A. Cameroon will play the opener against Burkina Faso. It will be on the 9th of January. Apart from Burkina Faso, we have equally Ethiopia and the Blue Sharks of Cape Verde. Can we say that the draws are quite good for Cameroon, for the indomitable Lions? And do you think, after the organization in 1972, that Cameroon this time will organize and win the competition? The program is the Republican debate on the Republican channel. Of course, we say good evening and welcome as we have men of timber and men of substance with us. I will begin with him. They call him, of course, Atabon Cornelius. Atabon Cornelius, good evening and welcome to the Republican debate.
Good evening, Mr. Tabi Clarkson. Good evening to my fellow panelists. Good evening to millions of televiewers and lovers of Camden's television. I want to greet everyone who is watching this program right away. I want to also use the opportunity to greet those who went for the GCE marking, and that we are impatiently waiting for the result to be published as the students are ticking down the line, hoping that the result is going to be favorable. I hope that our discussion this evening is going to edify Cameroonians, as I've always said on a program like this, to ensure that our country moves to higher height and better position for everyone to enjoy and love this country once again.
We are equally expecting the results of the GCE. We want to believe that the results will be out by the end of this month of August. Equally with us here, we have, of course, he is a societal critic, and of course, they call him, of course, he is here with us. He's not coming for the first time. It's true that most often people describe him as a baobab or a terrorist when it comes to debate. But he is here with us. They call it Prince Epierre Ejede. Prince Epierre, good evening and welcome.
Yeah, good evening to you, Mr. Tabi Clarkson. It's always a pleasure being in this platform. I've always told you that I love the concept of the program, the Republican debate, and it's all made up of Republican panelists. Those who think that the name terrorist, I don't think so. It's not a good description.
When it comes to debate, anyway.
Yeah, for those who know me, I'm a gentleman. It's just that at times when you want to put your ideology through, and then you see like some people, because of their personal whims and caprices, to bring Cameroonians to continue suffering. I think some of us, we can't take it. So it's always a pleasure being here. I want to use this opportunity to greet my doyen, who is here, Mr. Nangomo. I want to say that though I'm a social critic, but also linked to a political party of which he is one of the vice presidents. So it's a privilege to share this platform with him. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Yes, Mr. Nangomo is here. He is the third national vice president of the PAP party, the Popular Action Party, of course. Mr. President, you are welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Tabi, and good evening to all the viewers of Camden TV. Good evening to all my co-panelists. Thank you once again for inviting me on the set tonight for the Republican debate.
It's a pleasure for us to have you in the program. We equally have Sonny Armstrong. He is a media consultant. He is coming in the program for the very first time. Armstrong, good evening and welcome to the Republican debate.
Good evening, Mr. Clarkson. Good evening to all my fellow panelists, and good evening to you, fellow viewers of Cam10 TV. And I hope that we'll have a Republican time this evening.
A real Republican time, the time for us to have our press review, a press review of Roots Fonyong before we come back.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You are once more welcome to our program, The Republican Debate over CAMDIS, the Republican Television. If you are just joining us, we are on the press review slot. Just stay tuned and you will get to know what makes news this week in our country, Cameroon. We are going to begin this week with Cameroon Tribune, where President Paul Biya returns from his break in Geneva. The presidential couple was received in the streets of the capital of the country by dancing groups and different stakeholders. Cameroon's news talks of a young agricultural engineer who commits suicide before his wife and children. What must have gone wrong is a question many are still asking. Quotidien Realite says noon, the total support of youth towards President Paul Biya. This was done because of some group of persons who were trying to trouble the stay of the president in Geneva. Eco Matin tells us of the extraordinary CEMAC summit. What does the International Monetary Fund require from the different heads of states of the 6 CEMAC zone countries? Flèche d'Afrique says Total Energies African Nations Cup Cameroon 2021 Kmer ready for technological challenges. In Eco News, we are told of a new variant of the COVID-19 called the Delta virus, which kills so swiftly, and we are advised to respect barrier measures. Quotidien Echo says Holidays Without HIV and AIDS 2021. Sensitization campaign launched. The operation will take place till August 31st. 600 pairs of educators will be deployed to the field for the 19th edition of Holidays Without AIDS. In Quotidien Emergence, Gabon, 2 Cameroonians arrested for trafficking of counterfeit. See this in page 10 of the newspaper. The Sun talks of AFCON 2021 draws Eto'o's hand of luck. Cameroon gets winnable group thanks to the legends' last pick, and all 6 groups are considered balanced. You can see this in page 11. In Eden, Biya chair crucial CEMAC summit. His return sends skeptic gasping for air and extractive industries. Cameroonian called to serve at Natural Resource Governance Institute. The Guardian Post says Ambazonian independence dream. Have they silently abandoned struggle? United Cameroon for Peace and Progress Party clocks 1, counts achievements. In the Herald Tribune, excitement as military clears barricaded Bambui Fundong Road and Douala Container Terminal receives first set of new equipment. In the News Watch, Northwest, Southwest, agony of civilians caught in armed conflict. Some victims of the drawn-out conflict are suffering from and even dying of preventable causes in the bushes and in host communities. And lastly, Le Quotidien says Total Energy AFCON 2021. Paul Biya had long planned since 1982. It is on this that we call a cut to our press review. See you next week for another flow of information in the Republican debate. Thanks for watching and an exciting weekend for all.
Yes, we just had the the press review of Ruth Fonyo. Exciting weekend too. To you, Ruth. Anything, you gather anything there, Armstrong? Anything from the press review?
What I gathered most is the return of the President of the Republic for the CEMAC summit and the Total Africa Cup of Nations that is coming up. And we are so excited about the Total Africa Cup of Nations that after all this while, all the wait, finally, we can have this competition.
We can have the competition finally. Did you gather anything from the press?
Yes, the newspaper that talked of separatist fighters abandoning the struggle, I was not that called with that newspaper because I think in our country today, we don't need to continue propagating separation. It's my personal opinion. So I don't know the game that the newspaper was playing. Was it to inform Cameroonians that the war which is going on in the Anglophone zone is going to come, or was it to make Cameroonians or maybe the separatist fighters that they are not been doing their work again? Was it a wake-up call? That is a question I was asking myself when I read through that newspaper. So for me, I don't think that for me it was a good topic to be discussed.
Anything from the press, Tabom?
Yeah, I think I pick up 3 points. One, the fact that the newspaper announced the youth throwing their weight behind the president and refusing the fact that there was some violence or a come together against him when he was in a short stay. I think it is uncalled for because the people have the right to resist or to come out and make a call if they think that things are not going on well. And I wonder, and I'm surprised where that was done. I am equally surprised that the newspapers are taking side, giving information that supports the party in place than giving the right information. And I think that
what is the right information?
Such manifestation out there was a wake-up call for the president to realize that the Cameroonians are not happy. Equally for the AFCON, I think it's a good thing that Cameroon is hosting it. It's a wonderful thing. And then just like Mr. Pierre mentioned, we should not continuously call this struggle a separation struggle. We should rather look at the way forward so that we can bring this crisis to an end. And just like he said, I think they've reminded the children who are in the bush that probably have not been working. And even the next day, we hear that there is a heat somewhere, they will begin to wonder. I only want to believe that we are going to come together. And about the CEMAC summit that was chaired by our president, I hope he chaired it with good faith so that he's doing something. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Nangomo?
Well, Mr. Tabi Clarkson, maybe, I won't mention anything about what I just said, but I would rather be talking about all these deaths that we are having on our roads every day, and I think it has become abnormal, seeing that people are dying every day.
In accidents. In
highways, in town here, with what just happened 2 days
in Hawaii.
It's really horrible. And, sitting here just talking about the head of state who is coming in after 1 month away, talking about the CEMAC, I don't see it being relevant. Maybe, the African Cup of Nations, which now we all know that for sure it will really hold in Cameroon. But for me, I think we have better topics that we can talk about.
Okay, better topics that we can talk about, and without any waste of time, Ludu, can we have our first topic on the screen? Our first topic, we are talking CEMAC, we are talking the successes and failures of the organization since its creation in 1994. I'll begin with you, Armstrong. Can we say that CEMAC, since its creation, it has been successful, CEMAC?
CEMAC, if you look at the goals that the various head of states sat down and decided and said this is what we wanted for the sub-region, it hasn't really worked out because the regional integration and the coming in for one sub-region to emerge. If you look at the other sub-regions, how they are emerging and compare them with with that of CEMAC, it shows that CEMAC is far behind, and there's a lot of catching up to do. And each time there's a CEMAC summit, it's like it's an eternal beginning. Each time it's like they come again to start from another point and shoot again. Then they go next time, come again from another point to shoot again. So I hope that this time will be a good one for us to move forward.
The CEMAC summit since, or the CEMAC organization since its creation, can we say that's been a success?
The book that I'm going to publish, maybe in some days or some months.
Ledo, after successes it's not one.
Titled
Successes and Failures.
The Sacred Book of Tradition. There, I have a central theme that I'm trying to bring. I want to give an introduction of what I'm going to say. The central theme that I'm trying to bring in that book is changing our mindsets and decolonizing our mentalities. Changing our mindsets and decolonizing our mentalities. Now, if you look at what is happening in the CEMAC zone, making a comparative analysis, let's just take ECOWAS, you will realize that in the CEMAC zone, we are still provinces under a country which is being called France. Because in the CEMAC zone, everything is being centralized on France, with the exception of Equatorial Guinea. The CEMAC was born in N'Djamena, Chad, that you made mention. But look at what is happening today in Chad, where the military brings in a coup d'etat for them to take over power, of which they don't follow the constitutional reform of the country. It poses a problem at that level. And we saw the president of France supporting that particular act. Because we need to look at it, the political aspect of it, the economic aspect of it, and the social aspect of it, for us to come to that objective which was being set forth, that you made mention, for integration of between peoples, persons, and goods and services. We made mention, or in the CEMAC, we also made mention that they need to have a common passport where people will travel freely. But as of now, we have seen many countries who are still giving restrictions of that CEMAC passport to be functional. We can cite countries like, not going far, Equatorial Guinea. We have seen what is happening. So in a nutshell, what we are saying, if you're asking about the successes, I would say that we still have a lot. We still have a lot to go with the CEMAC ideology. Now look at, like, in the CEMAC zone, look at the monetary aspect of it. The France CFA. A country or a sub-region emerges with the value of their currency. But we have a currency where, or the currency in the CEMAC zone is a sub-currency under a country, France, which also poses a very big problem. How can we emerge? And also to say that you've realized that it is France which sponsors the CEMAC, the CEMAC organization itself. It is no news to us. It is France that supports the CEMAC. So there is that problem.
Are you saying that France is a problem to
Mr.
the CEMAC zone?
You got me very well. France is a very big problem. Let's take ECOWAS. Look at the way, let's take Senegal, which was a former French colony. But let's look at the way Senegal is advancing in terms of emergence. Let's look at Nigeria, which is, I believe as of now, it is the first economic power in Africa. Let's look at Nigeria. Let's go to the East African bloc. Look at a country like Rwanda. I want to make you to understand that when CEMAC was being formed in 1994, it's when we're having the Rwandan genocide.
Exactly.
But look at what is happening. Look at the emergence. You look at Rwanda has an automobile company that produces cars. But in Cameroon, it is still a dream. In the CEMAC zone, it is still a dream. Let's look at the Southern African bloc. Let's take a country like South Africa. It's the second economic power in Africa. So when you look at CEMAC itself, I think it is just former French provinces that are still paying allegiance
when I
to
hear
their
you
master.
talk, it means that there is no success at all after 27 years.
What we are saying that the success is very limited. It is very gradual. It is not pushing at even an arithmetic progression.
Okay,
that is what we are trying to say.
Okay, Mr. Nangomo, CEMAC, 27 years after, successes and failures.
Well, I think we should not be afraid of words. And you have been asking if he doesn't see any success at all. I think I will go the same way as he's going, because let's look at it, as a whole. What will you call success? Talking about CEMAC. Regional integration, the free circulation of goods and men, like you said a while ago, is it really effective? I don't think so. Talking about the CEMAC passport, maybe the CEMAC passport, but what is the price of it? Take the case of Cameroon. The average Cameroonian, can he afford it? Now, we'll take this aspect because, he mentioned a lot of aspects. You take it even from the political view. What recently happened in Chad is a big, evidence of the whole, failure of the CEMAC project. Why? Because you cannot, after how many years of power, just take the Central African region, take Gabon, take Equatorial Guinea, take Cameroon, take Chad. These countries, the head of state said, for how long have they been in power? In comparison with what is happening, for instance, in Côte d'Ivoire, in those Western Francophone countries, which are also under France. I'm sorry talking about it because I will not blame France here, for all what is happening. We are responsible of what is happening in the CEMAC, and it is because the head of state in CEMAC zone, are not really willing, to push this project forward. We'll go with it because I want to mention, if you go to Benin, Nigeria, Togo, all those countries, you will see, highways, roads that are linking those countries. Take what is happening here. That's what I was talking. If we want to talk about success, no, let's not fool ourselves and let's not fool our televiewers. What can we name is a success of the CEMAC so far if we take 27 years after it started? Because I believe if you have a son of 27 years, normally at a point, it should be a man. Somebody who is already, responsible of himself, who can, whom you can entrust certain things. But we can see with what is happening. And personally, I believe, when we are talking about, because you will see, I want to go there, let's even take the case of infrastructures. Because we will not say that France will not come and build roads, hospitals, and all the stuff here for us. The money is given here, but let's just take the case of Cameroon. Can you name how many scandals of investment of funds, public money, that we hear every day? Everything, every day is just focused on the person.
Can we say that COVID-19 has equally impacted to maybe as what concerns the past 2 years, the smooth function?
Well, that will be another excuse, because before the COVID-19, what prevented us from building the stadium, the infrastructure that was supposed to be there, if there had not been this COVID and that Cameroon was really supposed to organize the African Cup of Nations in 2019, we wouldn't have organized it. You agree with me? So you see, all this is really shows, and I think Cameroon is the perfect example of this failure of the CEMAC.
CEMAC is failing because Cameroon is failing?
Well, I think the Cameroon is being presented as the locomotive of the CEMAC zone. And if you take in terms of population, in terms of potentialities in terms of resources, natural resources, in terms of manpower, Cameroon should be ahead. But what is Cameroon proving? I think, truly speaking, sincerely speaking, we have nothing to show for it.
Akabon, nothing to show, nothing to be proud of when it comes to the CEMAC organization?
Well, we have to look at it on both sides. We can't completely say that there is nothing to show for, despite the fact that the successes are very minimal. But we will not be able to evaluate the merit and the demerit without looking at CEMAC down the line. Central African Economic and Monetary Community, CEMAC, as Riley said, was created on the 16th of March 1994, but actually became operational in 1999 after the ratified Treaty of Jamina. I want us to take that clear. And it came from the arches of UDIAC, that is a Central African Custom and Economic Union, that had been in existence since the 1960s, when most of this country gained their independence. And the 6 member states, that is Chad, Cameroon, Central African Republic, Equatorial Guinea, Congo, and Gabon, are the 6 member states in this in CEMAC. But now, what were some of the objectives that were put in place? Because we cannot be able to evaluate the merit and demerit without looking at the objectives that were put in place. So the objectives were: 1, to ensure free circulation of goods and persons. The second one we had was to promote peace within the sub-region. We equally had to achieve a wider market for the goods. Remember that there was need for regions that were lacking to be supplied, and regions had sufficient to also supply our region. Then to promote regional integration. Then from this we had certain organs that were put in place. Then we have the Council of Head of State, we had the Council of Ministers, we had the CEMAC Parliament, we had the Ministerial Committee, and then we have the Executive Secretariat, and then we equally have the Bank of Central African State, which we have the headquarters here. And then from there, what are some of the successes? We will not say that have not succeeded. We have that they have instituted the common fiscal policy and the accounting system, which is OHADA. And then some of the crises also have equally been handled. What are some of these crises that we see that CEMAC had taken care of? We had the Cameroon Equatorial problem that was handled in 2005. We had Cameroon, Chad and Central African Republic, that was in 2008. They intervened to ensure that there was a peaceful dialogue, and we saw that there was success. Then we had regional integration. We realized that there is even a CEMAC Cup that had been going on, and Cameroon won that cup in 2008. And then we had the creation of sub-regional road. We have the Tuboro, Jamina, Garoua Bulai, and then the Bangui, Ebolova, Ambam roads. Let's just look at it. These are some of the successes that CEMAC had.
The free circulation of persons and goods, is it a reality?
I would want us to first and foremost see the applicability first, and then we'll see how far we've gone to achieve it. Because if we say that it has not done anything, we are showing bad faith. They have done something, but when we evaluate it within the time being that has been existent, that's what we can criticize. Let us understand that. For the time that it has been in existence,
27 years.
27 years. But this is the little thing.
It's already a man, eh?
Yeah, this is the little thing that CEMAC has done over the years. Now we can begin to look at the other side. Within the 27 years and consider what it has done, can we say it has actually succeeded? That's what we want to understand. Has CEMAC actually succeeded?
What is the impact? Because we are talking of success considering the impact.
That is what I'm saying.
Those
that's what I'm saying. We cannot just say that it has not succeeded. This is what it has done. But in line with the years, for how long it has been, has it actually impacted in the region? At that point we can say no. But let's understand that I've actually done nothing. Just like we're talking about the free circulation of persons and goods, it is actually limited. It is actually limited. It has only failed at the political level because we still see, like we said, countries having a lot of political crisis. We are talking about Cameroon. Let's talk about the Northwest and the Southwest. It has been going on for 5 years.
What has CEMAC done?
We expected CEMAC to have stepped in because it was supposed to have come in and then intervene. We see the case in Chad, no intervention. But we realize that at some point, militaries are supposed to, according to objective, be sent. Have to send military support to ensure that these crises are resolved. But you realize that they are quiet, they are silent. And just like one of the panelists said, it's because they still so much rely on their colonial masters. They still rely on their colonial masters. And in this region, there is high corruption and personal interest. This is what has killed CEMAC. There is high corruption and personal interest. And with this corruption level and personal interest, we cannot progress. I think Mr. Ejere had mentioned and compared other sub-regions. And we realize that one of the reasons why we cannot progress is because our finances, our money is still part of another country. We can compare Nigeria, which has the Naira. We cannot even compare ourselves with Nigeria. And when are we ready? When is CEMAC ready to produce its own money?
Okay.
And even after the summit, we see there's nothing like that. There's nothing on the line. We are talking about pumping money back into the society, and at the end of it, maybe after 5 years, it will remain on the paper. So you realize that unless CEMAC has something to do or change its manifesto, change its program completely, we are going to
therefore we cannot talk of success.
Yes, you want to.
Yes, I just wanted to say that we should not be afraid of words. I'll take from what the Vice President of the Popular Action Party was saying. It's what is happening in the CEMAC zone.
It's a big failure.
It's a failure because when we are talking of growth, Mr. Tabi Clarkson, or even in basic economics, when we talk of growth, you yourself, you see you feel the impact when a country or a sub-region is emerging. When a sub-region is emerging, you are even when we talk of security itself. Let's look at the CEMAC zone in terms of security. You realize that the CEMAC zone everywhere is crisis in itself. It's crisis. Look at what is happening. What has happened in the Central African Republic. In the Central African Republic. Look at what is happening even at the borders between Chad, Cameroon, and maybe neighboring Nigeria. Not even talking of Cameroon itself, which is a pilot country of the CEMAC zone. Look at what is happening in Cameroon, the Anglophone war, which is happening in Cameroon itself. What has been the role of CEMAC in terms of what is happening in the northwest and the southwest? We have not been seeing them very active. So now, when you people come, because I know that you choose the topic because we are just coming out from the CEMAC summit. Even the CEMAC summit has passed. What is the impact? What is the impact to the common man? Because the problem is for the common man.
The problem of Atabong is that we cannot just completely say that it's a complete failure.
It is a total failure. It's a total. No, Mr. Clarkson.
Yes.
I made mention here that when in 1994, when they were creating the CEMAC, we were still having the Rwandan. That's when we had the Rwandan genocide. Yeah. But look at Rwanda today. Look at Rwanda today. That is what we are saying. That is what we are saying. All these head of states whom are in these CEMAC zones are stooges from their colonial master. No, it is good that the televiewers should understand. Yes. And in a nutshell, let me just learn from you. I know that you cannot refuse me anything. Yes. Let's look at even the price, the farmers. Let's look at Cameroon is one of the countries in this zone that supplies foodstuff to most of these CEMAC zones. Let's look at even the farmers who are in the bushes feel that impact of the prices of their goods that they sell. I'm talking because I come from Tombel, where the main market that supplies plantain, cocoyam, and bananas is the My 20 market in Tombel subdivision. But go and see the type of life that the farmers who are in this zone they live. So the problem is that
the blame goes to CEMAC.
The blame goes to the CEMAC and these African countries that have decided to remain in the ideologies of the colonial master. And that is why I said that in my introduction. I said that when I started, that it is high time we change our mindsets and decolonize our mentalities.
Okay. I'm sorry. At this point, we'll need to consider some particular factors that came in to slow down the plans that CEMAC had
in place.
50% of the 6 countries in the zone are in crisis, because if you take Central African Republic, you take Chad and Cameroon, they have particular crises there. And there are also different crises, sub-crises in the other
countries. Even Gabon has crises. Don't forget the post-electoral problems in Gabon. Yes, it's very good that you also mentioned. Yes.
So, if we are talking about economic integration of all these countries for their growth over time, it means that these various countries have to come together and have the same level of emergence. So we should not be a case of Cameroon talking about 2035, Equatorial Guinea talking about 2020. If there was a complete, common plan of this, and one thing again that we should note is that it came it was born in 1994, but operations began in 1999. What happened within that gap?
5 years.
And you discover that some very beautiful plans that were there. I'm a sportsman. You see, like the CEMAC Cup, it disappeared. There is nothing to be said about it again. So it means that they had very beautiful plans on paper. That's why we're saying that there has been no success. There were very beautiful plans on paper, but now on grounds, what is the success that could be seen? Because today, I should be comfortable traveling from Cameroon to Equatorial Guinea, as if I was traveling from Boya to Douala, but that's not happening. But again, I would say that other countries are benefiting a lot from this, that from where Cameroon is not quite benefiting, because, you know, Cameroon is the main entrance for goods going into countries like Central African Republic. Cameroon is the main entrance for goods going to countries like Chad.
It's even in the middle, linking all other countries.
So, if all these countries are gaining from Cameroon, now what is Cameroon gaining from them?
Maybe Nangomo will answer that question. What is Cameroon gaining?
Well, I don't have the answer to that question, but I think it is obvious, as we are all talking here, making this analysis, that, you know, talking about success, it is very difficult to talk about success, because what is the meaning of success? Success means that you have set objectives,
and you have met
met those objectives, and those objectives that you have met, you know, you can feel the impact of it in the everyday lives of the population, the beneficiaries of this project. But now, talking about the CEMAC zone, let's first take the free circulation of goods and persons. Can we say here that it is a success in the CEMAC zone? And I will not be exaggerating if I say no, it is not. Because what we see, you know, recently again, we saw the Ministry of Defense going to, I think, Equatorial Guinea, when there was another problem there in the border between Cameroon and Equatorial Guinea, with Cameroonians, or, you know, being always driven out of Equatorial Guinea like, you know, enemies all the time, and this happens. But every day, you know, over the television, on the speeches, the slogans that we hear is that the integration is currently going on. But we cannot say it 27 years down the lane.
Maybe it's a gradual process.
Well, that's exactly the point. And I think that Cameroon has gone with this, you know, this mindset of using to foolish people about progressive, doing things in progress. But the world is so fast going today that we see what is happening elsewhere, and we can easily compare with what is happening here. Where he has been talking about ECOWAS. What is happening there? You can see, even from afar, that people there, they are really willing to make this integration a reality. But here, we cannot say it because, you know, our mindset, and I don't know, that's why I'm saying, let's take, secondly, from the political aspect of it. You know, with what we call, how do you call it? You know, changing people, you know, getting access to power. Take the Gabon Chad.
Power transition.
Power transition. Thank you. Cameroon. Just take the minimum. How many years have the people, those who are there, have they been there? And, you know, like that, you cannot have a dynamic in pushing, you know, change and transformation of things. Talking about this mindset that Cameroonians, even ourselves, when you try to talk about, you know, power change, power transition, it's a taboo. It's still a taboo. Because, you know, it's like people are trying to preserve, I don't know what, their personal interests, and once you want to talk about it, you become an enemy, you are qualified as a terrorist, and I want to tell you.
When you want to even speak, they call you a terrorist.
The Bible says, can two walk together unless they have agreed? Because if we cannot agree, even on what is supposed to be what we want, take the case of Cameroon. All these countries that we have named here, you will see political turmoil after presidential elections, especially. Why? Because people have not agreed on what will be acceptable for everybody. That's why you see anytime there's an election, people will come and say, no, I don't accept because it was not, the elections were rigged.
They were not fair and fair.
They were not free and fair. And then we,
Mr. Tabi,
let me learn. So, take it, he mentioned the case of even the sport aspect of it. Something that was good, and you know how sport can federate energies, how can you do integration. They started with something and then they have dropped it. And every day, the only thing that we hear in CEMAC is excuses. It's excuses. I think there's a big problem. That's why I cannot sincerely say that, because I don't see any success, frankly speaking, when we talk of CEMAC.
That's why I
and all the projects that have been
set.
And I think it will be very dishonest for us, you know, not to look at it from this angle and really look at the truth. And we all know
27 years, no success for CEMAC. Atabo is saying that that is bad.
I'm still looking for.
like I said, there is one thing that we are missing here. One, CEMAC is not all about Cameroon. We're talking about 6 countries. And the fact that probably Cameroon mans it doesn't mean that we should nail it. We could have done ours. Because if in these 6 countries, the level of economic development and political stability is not the same. So we talk about success, it is something that's evaluative. Now let me give you an academic view about success. We can say somebody who has 10 average has succeeded. A student come with 18 average, that student has succeeded. One with 10 average has succeeded. So success is something that is evaluative.
So Mr. Atabo, give a mark to the successes of, give a mark of what the CEMAC has done now for 27 years. No, you are talking about academic, we are all academicians.
It's very applicable.
Yeah, so give us in 27 years the mark, the score mark of CEMAC on 20.
Can I talk?
Yes.
We are talking about successes and failures of CEMAC. We are evaluating. We cannot say that CEMAC has not succeeded. In a way, say totally means that you don't have anything to write home about.
0 on 20.
Yes, 0 on 20. But I want to disagree in total with that. But rather, the political atmosphere that came in, that has been within this country, is what has distorted the path of success. I want us to all agree on that. If you look at the objectives and the view, the aims of this country in the CEMAC, they had a good goal.
Exactly.
But along the line, the struggle to topple the government in place, constant disagreement within the political system, and the inability within for the country themselves to agree was what killed this CEMAC. You will realize, we really said here, when the Equatorial Guineans were sending away Cameroonians, it was because of their bad behavior. But probably there was a
bad behavior of Cameroonians.
Probably was a possibility of CEMAC to step in and resolve it. So when they are sent away, how many Cameroonians will feel free to go there? This is the reason why you see there's no free circulation of people. We talk about the CEMAC number plate, which is supposed to be used. And as I said, there is a road linking most of these countries. And I mentioned we talked about the Truboro, Jamina, Garoua Bulai, then Bangui, Ebolova, and then the Ambam Road, which link this country. But since we have political instability, the cab which are supposed to plow this road can go freely. And hence good services and people can use this road. We have crisis in Central African Republic, the Baraka and Senegal for that lasted for years, even spilling over to Cameroon, and CEMAC has not solved it. We are looking at why has it not succeeded to what it was supposed to have been. And when you look at the reason, it's
not a complete failure.
It's not a complete failure, but we are saying that the failures of CEMAC are tied to certain things. And let us not only say Cameroon, because we have political instability in Chad. We saw how the transitional government came up. It wasn't about Cameroon. We have crisis in Central African Republic, the Baraka and Senegal forces. We also talk about Congo, let's talk about it here. And then in Cameroon, we have the Northwest and Southwest problem. We have the Boko Haram. And then the East, which is constantly affected by the Baraka and Senegal forces. So what are we saying? That we're talking about CEMAC, we should be objective. It's about 6 countries. And the fact that Cameroon manned it doesn't mean that if Cameroon wants to move ahead, CEMAC will move ahead. But the failure where we are not able to move ahead is one, political instability and the political atmosphere, which has hindered the development.
Okay, we are very at Atabo.
Yes, I just wanted to say that if we are looking at these 6 countries, which are in the CEMAC zone, I want to say that all these 6 countries have political crisis. That one should be clear.
That's what I said.
Yes, they have political crisis. And when we want to evaluate, when we are evaluating a student, because he made mention of academics. You evaluate a student with a pass mark. And
10 or 20 is a pass mark.
10 on 20 is a pass mark.
It's a pass mark.
That is why we are saying that the objectives that were being set by the CEMAC are not being met. So we, in my own view as an academician and a pedagogue, I say I give them 4 on 20.
Which means that there are
Mr. Tabon.
Of course. If you evaluate a student 4 on 20, it means that student to some extent what?
Mr. Tabon.
Where's the pass mark?
Where's the pass mark?
Please,
Please, Mr. Tabon.
when we say some,
there is no child.
When you are evaluating somebody, it doesn't mean that that person must have a 10 to have shown that you have actually done something.
Mr. Tabon, Mr. Tabon, you are a principal of a school here in Yaoundé. You are a pedagogue that I recognize and I know very well. But I want to say something which is very important. If a child has 4 average, you cannot promote that child to the next class. I want us to be d'accord.
That is true.
Exactly. It means that.
That is true. That child failed completely. But he used the word totally.
No. Let me.
I'm disagreeing with the word he used. Totally.
No, the child has failed. No.
But totally, we say to me the child has not made anything. Remember, even pedagogically, a child is not supposed to have a 0.
But I want to say that maybe Mr. I want to say that if that child has 9 average, 8 average, you can, after deliberations, maybe look at some reasons why this child could not have 10 average, they have the 8.
And then we can take the excuse of political instability.
It means that a child who has 4 on 20 should be sent away from school.
Can we take those excuses that the countries are affected politically?
But that is it.
Instability, political
That is it.
instability.
Yes, that is why I brought the case of France. That it is high time we change our mindsets and decolonize our mentalities for us, especially in the CEMAC zone, to move forward.
Yes.
If we still continue being in that clique of France, because one of the issues that makes a country to develop is their monetary aspect. We are still being hooked with the franc CFA. It will be very difficult for us to emerge with the franc CFA.
Okay.
So it's high time, Mr. Tabi Clarkson, I'm concluding, it's high time that those in the CEMAC zone know that and copy even from their other African brothers like Senegal and Cote d'Ivoire may be still under some influence by the colonial master, but at least they have gone a little bit up than what is happening in the CEMAC zone, and copy from other blocks like I made mention of ECOWAS and maybe the South Africa.
So finally, we can give which mark? You say 4
on 20.
4 on 20. Please. 4 on 20, Nangomo.
You know, I'm happy. I'm glad that Mr. Tabon and my brother, they are academicians, pedagogues, and that we are talking of success here. And sometimes when I see my child coming back to school with the report, at a point they say, has failed, but can do better. I think the teacher will not write has succeeded. Although the marks are not.
Are you saying that CEMAC has
Let us not be stereotyped on the topic. Let us not be stereotyped on the topic.
CEMAC has failed.
But can do better.
Then we are speaking the same language with me.
CEMAC can do better. And why is CEMAC not doing better? Because there's a lack of political
stability.
You understand? Because there are a lot of things that we know that it's not just, from time to time. Because we talk. See, it even came back to me the other day when I heard that there was going to be a CEMAC summit. Come on, so these things still exist.
Of course.
But we cannot talk of success here, because when you go, that's why I'm saying that we cannot, we can't help, comparing what is happening here with what is happening elsewhere. Because when we look at ECOWAS, we see, because if there you want to go and, maybe mark them, you give them 12 or 13 over 20. Because there you really see the political will, you really see the actions that the head of states there are making and pushing for their regional organization to move forward. They have even gone ahead of the CEMAC zone to talk about the change of the currency, this France CFA. At least the debate has already started there. Here in CEMAC, we are not even talking about it. And that's why I would go back to what he was saying. That it's like, it's like there's a big hand behind that is holding, saying, oh, no, you guys should not talk about it. But since that project failed there, in ECOWAS. Have you even heard about it here? I mean, the ECO project.
The ECO project, yeah.
Nothing is being, even mentioned. So why should we say that we are seeing success in
Please,
this
Mr. Tabi,
project?
I wanted to correct something, please. Let us not be fooled by the topic, successes and failures. If you evaluate it, it's actually looking at the achievements and the failure. Excuse me, I want us to be a little bit literal here. But we talk about successes and it is followed by failure. In the right term, we're looking at achievements and failures.
What is achievement?
No, excuse me. Excuse me. We need to understand the topic to debate.
Mr. Tabo, we are not in a class. We are not in a class.
Therefore, excuse me. Let me lay a foundation. No, excuse me. Now, look at it.
Mr. Tabo, an achievement can also be a failure.
Of course, but that's going to come. An achievement can also be a failure.
Yeah.
Wait, let me land. You have been talking. Now, when we look at it from that area, I don't want us to be blinded. If you look at the little achievements that CEMAC have made and the failures they have had, we can be able to know where to take off because we are not only crucifying it. If it actually has some achievement, what happened? And if it has failed to this extent, what happened? So we can be able to have a line. And we are all agreeing here that the main reason, we are agreeing here that the main reason is political instability.
We are coming back.
Mr. Tabi Clarkson,
And if the money was to be pumped into the community,
30 seconds.
and if the money was to be
No, Mr.
pumped in,
Tabo.
and the political stability is not there, they will still fail. So let us look at the successes or the achievements and the failure.
No, we have heard you, Mr. Clarkson. I want to bring a corrigendum. Now, we are not in a classroom. We are not in an amphitheater here, or maybe giving notes to our students. We are politicians. We are kind of cast of politicians, social critics. So we should be very careful with what we say. Listen, you can give me a topic. I come here and I tell you that what you put on that topic, I don't agree. It's my opinion. Are you get when I say what you are putting that topic? For example, the other day they invited me in a program to talk on something I will not make mention here. I refused to go because I see that to bring such a debate in Cameroonian society is not good because our children are following. We cannot be calling some names which is names that are not even found in our local languages as Africans, and then you want to put me on a platform to come and debate on that topic. I told the journalists I'm not comfortable and I will not come. So now, when we are evaluating on the success, it is we have our right to see, to look and evaluate and even give a pass mark with maybe as you rightly said as a social critic. What is happening in the CEMAC zone? For me, I think it needs to be scrapped. Okay, and then we'll have everything.
Okay, can we have this report, the report on the CEMAC, before we come back to conclude on the first topic? The report on CEMAC, please.
At the Unity Palace, presided at by Cameroon's President Paul Biya, the Yaoundé Video Conference CEMAC Summit is intended to bring some answers to the worries plaguing the sub-region. First, the issue to be addressed is how to revamp the economic sector, which because of the COVID-19 pandemic, the CEMAC zone is now witnessing the fall in oil prices. The objective, amongst others, is to renew the commitment to the program of economic and financial reforms within CEMAC and the entry of CEMAC countries into the second generation programs with the International Monetary Fund, the IMF. Economic revival, yes, but we cannot talk economic development when the sub-region is witnessing socio-political crisis. In Chad, many are yet to accept that a Déby has replaced another Déby. Day in, day out, Jamena is on alert as some rebel groups want to overthrow the power in place. In the Central African Republic, the story is almost the same as the Seleka rebels are yet to digest the re-election of President Archange Faustin Touadéra. In Cameroon, the Cameroonian army is yet to completely eradicate Boko Haram activists who are still causing havoc in the far north region. Separatist activities in the northwest and southwest is also a major blow to the economic welfare of the CEMAC zone. The security challenges are there, and coupled with the difficulties brought by the COVID-19 pandemic, there is really no choice but rather than to strategize on reawakening a crumbling economy which needs reforms in order to subscribe to a structural transformation of the economy towards greater diversification and sub-regional integration, intensify the fight against corruption and promote a business climate suitable to private investment. That is the challenge. Hopefully that pertinent resolutions be arrived at by the end of the Yaoundé Summit.
We are concluding on this. 30 seconds, Armstrong.
Just in
Can we still
conclusion-
have the topic on the screen, Ludu? We are concluding, yeah?
Just in conclusion, we've been talking about the instabilities, insecurity we've been having here, and the passing away of President Idris Deby Itno of Chad was a major blow to solving part of the the issues of Boko Haram up in Chad. And I would like to present my condolences to the people of Chad.
Okay. Your last word, 30 seconds.
We should change our mindsets and decolonize our mentalities. In that project, we shall now have peaceful political transitions where the debate will be open to everybody and the people have the free will to vote a political project that will help us to emerge. And from that reason, now we'll have good leaders that will form the real regional bloc that we need in CEMAC.
Okay. 30 seconds.
I think, Mr. Tabit Clarkson, I think the whole project of the CEMAC should be rethink. It should be redone, you know, because for me, what is going on now is like, you know, it's like we just decided to do as we saw others do. We have not really put the political will in it, and I think that's why we are having the results that we are having here. But for me personally, I cannot be talking of success as concerns the CEMAC project for now. Maybe, like Mr. Tabon rightly said, there are some achievements, you know, but achievement doesn't always mean
Success.
Thank you.
Tabon, 30 seconds.
Yes, I will come back to say that Cameroon, just like the sub-region, they are good at making good decisions and implementing none. And talking about mindset, I would like us to say that we have a handful of wrong persons in right places manipulating the population of this sub-region. We have good people in these countries, especially in the Popular Action Party, if given opportunity. It's not about mindset. It's about putting the right person in the right place. Let the wrong people leave and let the right people come. The problem is not SMAC. The problem is the people manding SMAC. If we could have the opportunity to have the right person...
Are you also a militant of the PAP?
If we could have the opportunity, I am a strong militant of PAP.
Okay,
If we could have the right people, the right person in the right places, SMAC will be one of the best.
We say thank you. We shall be moving on to our second topic. We shall be talking the cabinet shake-up. But before that, can we have this report from Neba Jerome from Bamenda?
Operation in the locality of Foya, Bafut subdivision, led by Major Onana Conrad, has been as one of the most successful missions carried out by the Defense and Security Forces in recent times. Ebube, Stone, Small Pepper, Prince, and Small Bible were neutralized. According to security sources, this gang has been the brain behind the rampant kidnapping in the city of Bamenda. On the field to congratulate the 33-man troop is Brigadier General Valet, the commander of the 5th Joint Military Region, and Brigadier General Ekonwesi Divine, the commander of the 5th Gendarmerie Region, with other top military personnel. The military operation in Foya Bafut is a state after Operation Bafut 1 and 2 within a year. Amongst the items recovered are 4 AK-47, 10 guns, and a motorbike. The military officials have promised that the operations will continue in the northwest region until peace returns.
Until peace returns, it shows that the separatists or the Amber Boys are still going on with their activities. Maybe a cabinet shake-up can change the minds or appease the minds of the separatists. Maybe if the elite, the Anglophone elite, is actually changed, I don't know. Do you share that opinion? Do you think that...
No, it is not true, Mr. Clarkson. It is not true. I want to say that we should not be playing with words. We should not be playing with words, Mr. Clarkson. I want to say that I love your intelligence of bringing this topic because it is very important. But the problem is that Cameroon itself has a problem because those that identify themselves as the elites that you are calling the leaders, do they represent the people? What are the criteria? Yes, that's the point. What are the criteria that are being used for these people to be chosen for them to become either directors or ministers? Now, take for example, when the Anglophone crisis broke out, most of the people who went on air and fanned the crisis are those that were being appointed in a cabinet checkup. And you saw how it instead made people to be radicalized the more. They are in this government that we are talking about. We saw people that named students. I'm talking about the University of Goya. That gave orders for students to be raped. For university students to be disgraced. They were being put in the list of the cabinet shake-up, of which these people, first of all, don't have that representation of the population. So if you're asking if a cabinet shake-up will bring the Anglophone crisis to an end, I don't think
appeasement.
It will bring an appeasement.
Yeah.
I don't think so, because we have a problem of the casting of those that identify themselves as elites. I want to say that you know very well that this government think that those who are of the opposition, I'm talking of the real opposition, they look at some of us as enemies of the state.
Exactly.
Which is not correct. Do you think that in the Popular Action Party we don't have noble people that can be appointed who can help to
Are you ready? Are you ready to work for?
We are very ready. We are very ready. We are very ready. It's my opinion. We are very ready
to bring in ideas.
Ideas.
Because the point there is not only working with. You understand?
Yes.
The Cameroon is the whole collaborating.
Yes. Exactly.
You know, if we are talking of Cameroon, Cameroon is a project. Cameroon belongs to all of us.
All of us.
Cameroonians. So when we are talking of Cameroon, they are not. You don't find in one hand those who love Cameroon so much, and in the other hand those who don't love Cameroon at all. We are talking of Cameroon because we are facing issues that impact our lives. Now, I want to say something concerning this topic that you have brought up. A cabinet shake-up, Mr. Tabby Clarkson. That's exactly the problem that we are having. Because 2 years back, we had legislative and municipal elections. Normally, from what happened on the ground, in spite of all the the disagreement and all the things that were there, because a lot of people who were elected, who came up as MPs and senators and all the rest, the population at the basis were not very comfortable with them. But at least they came in. But normally we're supposed already to have a cabinet reshufflement. But 2 downs after, we're still there, like he was saying. You have people who are there, people in which Cameroonians down there do not recognize themselves in. Now, these political parties that are there, has the government even to call them and say, okay, we have heard you guys talking about.
So there is necessity for a shake-up.
Of course, there is a necessity. But now,
how is the shake-up going to take place?
But how is the shake-up going to take? Thank you very much, my brother. Because the point is there. If you go in and then you take the same people, and where you don't see Cameroonian where they don't recognize themselves, of course you will have the same results. When Mr. John Gute was appointed Prime Minister, he went down to, I remember,
to Bamenda, to Goya, yes.
And you saw how the population responded. That at least somebody has come to us to come and listen to us. Surely he went back and gave his report. But after his report, what came in? Nothing. And we are seeing here, still thinking, will this cabinet shake-off come one day or what? And I think that is a big problem. And for me, if we think a cabinet, shake-off will come and appease the minds, it depends on the type of casting that we will have and the type of people that will be chosen.
If you were asked to make a choice, to give one name.
Me as a name? But of
No,
course,
give one name. Just give one name.
No, I'm telling you something.
Yes.
We are here. I'm speaking here on behalf of PAF.
Yes.
We are a political figure in this country. We can be consulted because we have names in our party because most of us speaking here, you don't know what is standing behind us. And when you go to consultations that you want to, this is what we want to do, this is how we want to do. But the problem is they don't do it here. The problem is no, let's just give a seat here for an Anglophone, and then they will write that. But it is an Anglophone who is minister of this.
Emancipated Anglophone.
You know, I don't see if you are getting what I'm trying to say, because the point here is that, and if you go there, you say, okay, wait, no, because we saw it after this crisis started. They started appointing Anglophones all over as if that will come and solve the problem.
Anyway,
who are the Anglophones that
were being appointed?
What is the legitimacy of those people who are being appointed?
If PAP is consulted, PAP will agree.
Of course, PAP is part of Cameroon. PAP has a project for Cameroon.
We have heard PAP.
No, I think Mr. Tabitha said, not go to the end of my logic. Maybe you
we are coming back to you.
There's no problem.
I'm strong.
One thing that we should note is that at the beginning of the crisis, one of the points that came up was that Anglophones did not have enough positions in the government and other sectors. And those who started the crisis at the top, who started pushing up some of these points at the top, did not come up with these points like the layman, but today it is the layman that suffers at the bottom, because when there's an exchange of fire between the separatist fighters and the military down there, it is a population that suffers, and sometimes this population is used as a shield. I'm talking from experience because I come from Boya, so I know what I'm talking about. So a cabinet shake-up would not necessarily be a solution to this.
Can it appease,
because it cannot even appease. Because if it was to appease the good work that was done by the Prime Minister when he just came up and went down to the Northwest and the Southwest, it would have been appeased by now.
It would have been implemented.
So all I'm saying here is, if we are saying that there's an Anglophone elite, then the population should feel that Anglophone elite. The Anglophone elite should feel itself, they should be close to the population, and the population should identify with this elite, identify with their mayors, identify with their parliamentarians, their senators, and it is from there that when a government official who you can label as an Anglophone is talking about his people, the people can say, okay, this man is speaking about me. This man is speaking. Is giving this man is saying what I want to say.
Okay. Just to buttress on that point, it's very important. Just 20 seconds.
Yes.
To say that is where what he's saying is very important. That is the problem we have in this country, because those that are being appointed to lead us maybe in government positions are fabricated politicians. A politician is somebody who grows in the art of politics. Or you can call it the science of it, or whatnot. But those that are just being, maybe somebody had a concours somewhere, and then maybe out of one or two connections finds himself being the representative of the population, of which that person don't have the legitimacy. And that is where we are today. So we are saying that a cabinet shake-up, I don't think, can bring an appeasement with the type of casting that we have. So
if the casting is modified,
if that is why a vice president talked of consultations, it is high time in this country that we need to come to an inclusive dialogue. That is what will bring appeasement and maybe an end to everything, an inclusive dialogue. So, given this government, Mr. Tabi Clarkson, you are a veteran journalist, you know that there is the same faces that will be the same people. Yes, they will be the same people for this cabinet reshuffling. That will be coming soon.
Are you optimistic that it will be coming soon?
I'm very optimistic it's coming soon. We know it's coming soon. And to also say that, okay, look at, for example, let me just take a practical example: the Commission of Bilingualism and Multiculturalism. It is a Cameroonian affair, but some people have hooked it. And that is why you see
Are you hearing about them?
Are you hearing about it? But of which, Mr. Classy, let me tell you, I'm talking that I have written a project, took it to the committee and said I want to meet Mr. Mesonge, but they did not give me access to meet with Mr. Mesonge. I, a Cameroonian. So you see, now I want to make you to understand, you see the type of blockage, and even you look at the casting of those who are in that commission, what representation do they have on the ground? Even, I want to say even the youth, it's good to say it, even the youth, the person who is there, who is a youth, representing the youth in that commission, who knows him?
We don't have much
in the northwest and the southwest.
I think, let me give my own contribution before Mr. P take all the time. Now, when we talk about cabinet shake-up, I think it's a cabinet shake-in. It's a cabinet shake-in because for over 27 years, we have had ministers leaving one ministry to another, even when they are completely blank. I think to appoint a minister of finance should be somebody who is endowed in finances. To appoint a minister of transport should be someone who is endowed in that area. But we have seen ministers leave from minister of youth and sport to minister of finance to minister of public works. It seems as if it's a super country where everybody can worship the demigod. And I am very, very sure there is no cabinet shake-up coming out. It's going to be a cabinet shaking. And talking about representation, we have a government of decree and appointment.
Thank you very much.
Once as we continue to have government of decree and appointment, there is not going to be any impact. Let me come back to the short this that we just watched. When we have Cameroon continue to propagate a military solution to a crisis, it's not going to end soon. I thought if the government was a government of good faith, these children who have been captured in the bush should be brought to the center and properly retrained. But we have seen them being massacred. We have seen them being killed and then shown to the public. These are people's children. Just the same like the military. As I've said constantly, we are against killing, be it in uniform or in other attire. But if the military thing is by killing these people, that is going to bring solution, I want to remind them of the Biafra crisis. They are radicalizing even the more those who were not willing to join the war. And the presidential, the cabinet shake-up, we are waiting to see because it's not going to be representative. Let us go back to the people on ground.
If casting is modified, things can change.
It is not going to be modified. Why? Because the government is a government of one party. And any other person, was rightly said here, who doesn't align with that party is an enemy. So how are they going to console the people on the ground whom they have chased to the bushes, whom they have refused to recognize as representative
before
we have a solution?
We are concluding on this, Mr. Nangomo.
I think we have said it all. So I think what we should not be expecting something, it's just, I think, the bad faith or the bad will of this government that doesn't want to recognize, to really tackle the problems as they show up. They only want to, to make this makeup, maquillage, and say, no, we have done this. Because we're talking about this commission of bilingualism and multiculturalism. This is, a tool that should be so representative of all the Cameroonians, from all the backgrounds. But it has become an elite thing where they are sitting there, having their money and all the stuff. What is the impact of it? And like my brother rightly said, we cannot change things in Cameroon with the decree. My brother, it is not a matter of the president has signed a decree, and since the president has signed a decree, everything should be okay. If not, we wouldn't have had this crisis that is still going on today. And I think, I'll end up there, I think it's a bad thing, like somebody already said here, that, to publicize these killings that are still going on in the field there, because being it the military or the Amber fighters is not a good image, because what is happening there is not like the war against the Boko Haram.
Cameroonians are killing Cameroonians.
Cameroonians are killing Cameroonians, and this is something
it's
that is very horrible.
No, it's time for it to stop.
Yeah, and we shouldn't, because I will not rejoice that a Cameroonian has died because, he has been
uniform or it's an amber.
Being in the military or an amber, those are Cameroonians. And if we say that we are fighting for the unity of Cameroon, it shouldn't be something that we are publicizing. They should maybe show off that they have killed a terrorist who coming from, Islamic this thing to come and attack Cameroon. But here, these are people who have taken guns, and in the one hand they say, no, we want peace and the stuff, and then they come and publicize this thing. I think it's not correct.
It's not correct. It's true that many people have died since 2016. We want to believe that the war in the northwest and southwest region will actually come to an end. Can we have this except on the part of the president of the Confederations of African Football, they call him Patrice Motsepe? Patrice Motsepe, the except.
Tonight is a very special evening because tonight we are launching and we are participating in the draw, and we are absolutely confident that next year in Cameroon, Africa and the world will see amongst the most exciting, the spectators at the stadium and the millions of TV viewers will see some of the most exciting and attractive world-class football. Cameroon has got a proud football history, and we could not have chosen a more beautiful country. I must say, I was surprised before I was elected president that there were people in the media who kept asking me whether the CAF Champions League, Total Energies Africa Cup of Nations competition will take place next year in Cameroon. And that's why I had on several occasions, because they were asking me, do we have a plan B? We should have a plan B because Cameroon is not ready. And my answer was, Cameroon is plan A, Cameroon is plan B, there is no other plan.
Cameroon is plan A, Cameroon is plan B. There is no other plan, and of course, we are now setting Armstrong that we shall organize finally the AFCON.
It's been a long wait, and we are happy that with these draws, it shows us that we are getting into the AFCON. And if it says that Cameroon is plan A, Cameroon is plan
can we have
B,
the third topic on the screen, please?
And if it says that Cameroon is plan A and Cameroon is plan B, it means that even internally at the level of CAF, there were some persons pinching him to take out the competition out of Cameroon. But I'm happy that he's affirming that Cameroon will host the Africa Cup of Nations come 9th of January 2022.
Cameroon has to play the opener against Burkina Faso. Can we say finally it's a good draw for the Indomitable Lions?
It's a good draw for the Indomitable Lions, but one thing we should note is that Burkina Faso will be coming in for some revenge. And when you look at our classifications on the FIFA table, Cameroon is the 8th ranked African nation, while Burkina Faso is the 11th ranked African nation. So the disparity is not quite that big. But once again, in 1998, when Burkina Faso was host of the Africa Cup of Nations, Cameroon played against Burkina Faso in the opener and beat Burkina Faso.
In the opener, in 1998, when Burkina was organizing. Are you very sure that Cameroon can make it in the AFCON?
My problem with football in Cameroon is about fake football. No, my problem with football in Cameroon is about fake foot. How can we be talking of football where the house itself, it is war since 2000, and a journalist made mention the other day in a platform, 2000 and where? Yes, no, we should and what happened is because when Iya Mohammed left Fekafoot, the rightful heir to Fekafoot, who is or who was an Anglophone, John Begeninde, was sidelined for him not to take over Fekafoot, who was the legitimate vice president at that time, and the text said that I'm talking under the governance of a sports analyst who is here, John Begeninde was to take over Fekafoot, and they refused because he was an Anglophone. Look at where we are today, and we are talking of football. When the person who was seated next to Dr. Motsepe is not being recognized by another clique as the president of Fekafoot. Yes. So my problem in this country is that how can we be having football? We are hosting the AFCON. It begins on the 9th, I think the 9th of January, and there is still fighting in the house. It is bringing us to what is happening in this country. The whole issue in this country is all about governance. in every aspect.
We are not talking Fcfa, we are talking the indomitable lions.
That is why I'm saying. No,
that
is why I'm saying that.
Yeah.
To go there, it was very good that the television should first of all understand that our house is not first of all stable, and that has made many football lovers like myself and tell you I don't watch big football again. But you know the euphoria that football has brought in this country. When Cameroonians need to watch,
they are appeasement.
They are appeasement. When you hear a name like Ndibakem, how you felt uplifted. You heard the song, you know how song Rigobert song, how the Captain Rigobert song, how he gave many youths the enthusiasm to watch football.
So you don't watch football again?
They gave Rigobert's song. I was very pleased when they gave him the parole that day.
Yeah.
He said it was not right for him to speak when Roger Miller has already spoken. You can imagine the level of, this is somebody that I know very well. The level of humility. It means that the footballers themselves have respect. But some clique of politicians have decided to destroy Cameroonian football.
The draws.
And it is
finally good draws for Cameroon.
Mr. Tabi Klassen.
Finally good draws for Cameroon.
Finally, we are saying that if we are not careful, thinking that because we have been matched with Ethiopia, maybe Cape Verde, is it Cape Verde?
Yeah,
Cape Verde and Burkina Faso, maybe a small country will crush them. If we don't arrange ourselves, they'll crush us.
Okay, we have heard you. Mr. President?
Mr. Tabi, I don't know why you are preventing my...
we don't have much time.
What is very important to say, because we cannot, personally, as a Cameroonian, I feel very proud that at last, the AFCON will be played in Cameroon. You understand? But, apart from that, we should talk about the issues that are making, that are putting us in trouble. And all that has been mentioning, we cannot be talking and celebrating. Yeah, Cameroon will organize the African Cup of Nations, and the draw is in favor of Cameroon. Again, the question is that, but what is happening in the Fcfa food? What is happening there?
Why we know
the Secretary General has been dismissed. And still these fightings among politicians, people who are so selfish, thinking only about themselves, not thinking about the general interest. Because all this will have this wonderful meeting here with the African Cup of Nations. At least we as Cameroonians, who have felt so proud when Cameroon has lifted up the cup 4 times already in this continent.
But no effect.
But no, what is the effect?
No effect.
Every day we hear of these scandals. We can, on the one hand, we can be happy. On the other hand, we have to sit down and look at the truth and say, but what is wrong? So I think, to conclude on that topic, I think we are, and you have seen it, unanimously here, nobody is angry that Cameroon will be organizing the African Cup of Nations.
It's a diplomatic victory on the part of the regime in place anyway.
But now,
do you agree? Do you agree, Nangomo, that is a diplomatic victory to organize such a competition?
I would take that as what they call demagogy. You understand? Because actually, since I think 1972,
50 years after.
50 years after, and we should be here talking of diplomatic success or whatever we are talking about. I think it's a shame. But the most important thing, because Cameroon is a great nation of football, like it was mentioned here, when we look at people like Roger Miller, Samuel Eto'o's Rigobert song, all over the world, those are guys that I know, and they have made us Cameroonians to be very proud.
Okay.
But let those who are in charge of the management of football also make Cameroonians to be proud.
Atabon.
All right.
30 seconds. We are concluding.
Talked about the draws being
good draws.
Good draws. I think football has evolved in the world. There is nothing like good draws. We need to play football to win. If we don't have players who can play, we cannot win. And just like my fellow panelists have said, politics has infiltrated football in Cameroon.
Too much.
We are happy that for once we are going to be hosting the AFCON, but I have 2 questions to ask. How is it going to influence the lives of Cameroonians? because it's going to, the AFCON pumps in money. It pumps in money. Now, and how are we ready for AFCON to go hitch-free with the coffee? How many Cameroonians are going to watch these matches are going to be secured? So at the end of it, we may have consequences, negative consequences than any positive effect, because we have won AFCON 4 good times. But how did it impact on our lives? And we have seen that.
Won AFCON 5 times.
5 times, thank you. We have seen that Cameroon football has gradually dilapidated because of the infiltration of politics. We have seen in the field how a coach is unable to change a player or change a player and infused by another player in the field. Why? Because of the connection of that person with, with the team behind. Unless we allow certain bodies to function freely, we cannot cooperate. I just wish.
Are you optimistic?
I cannot be optimistic because football has evolved, and with the level of political infiltration in Cameroon, don't be surprised. By God's grace, we are sent out. On the first round, and I just want to call on the power that be to allow football to go on its own, and we can also use this as a means to unite the country.
We are concluding with you, Armstrong. Finally, we can say it's a good draw for Cameroon.
It's a good draw for Cameroon if you consider that we are going against Burkina Faso, against Cape Verde and Ethiopia.
In terms of the quality of players.
In terms of the quality of players. But one thing again is that my focus at the Nations Cup, if we're talking about draws, is not really the first round, because it's a 24-man competition. One win can get into the second round. My focus more at the Nations Cup will be in the second round.
You're optimistic?
I'm optimistic about us crossing the first round.
About us winning the competition, you have doubts?
At the moment, we don't have that. When we look at our squad and compare it with the other squads in Africa, we are lacking. But by now, between now and January, it's about 4 months. And in this period, we have FIFA qualifiers for the World Cup.
In September, and of course.
And in that period, Antonio Conceição, for the first time, will be involved in a competitive a tournament where he will need to line up players leading into the African Cup of Nations.
We say thank you, gentlemen, for coming. So that my friend wanted to say again something. we shall keep that for next time. We shall keep that for next time. Thanks very much for coming. Once again, we say the PAP party is ready to work with the government. It is clear. It is clear that the PAP, the Popular Action Party, if consulted, is ready to give in its own, because Cameroon belongs to all Cameroonians. It's on this note of hope that we say good evening, and may the Almighty God continue to bless the Republic.